Just can't believe it happened. I'm in such disbelief about it, and then it's just next wrestling season. Just thinking about that.
Students in Oldham County trying to process the loss of a beloved teacher and coach murdered in our nation's capital. It's our top story tonight at 5. I'm Shay McAllister.
And I'm Doug Proffitt. We first told you about his fatal shooting on the campus of Catholic University in Washington last night on the WHAS11 night team. Today, the tragedy is hitting hard with the friends and family of 25-year-old Maxwell Emerson of Crestwood, Kentucky. The exact details leading up to his death are still unclear.
Isaiah Kim Martinez and photojournalist Elijah McKenzie spoke with those who knew him and described the legacy he leaves behind.
Students at Oldham County High School are grieving, losing not just a coach, but someone they say could relate to and understand them better than anyone else could. Now, today, several of them met up inside to support each other. The halls of Oldham County High are lined with the Emerson name.
Like you see right there, he won the state title his senior year.
Especially Maxwell Emerson, a hugely successful wrestler when he was a student, now years later passing that knowledge down as both a coach and teacher himself.
We knew he knew what he was talking about, so it kind of gave us respect, and he went through the exact same stuff.
The varsity wrestling team is grappling with the fact they couldn't even say goodbye.
When we first got there, we didn't even talk. We just sat there.
Yeah, we were just in such disbelief. It was just like we were outside. We were all just sitting on the driveway. It was just silent.
A spokesperson for Oldham County Schools tells me Emerson was in the nation's capital for a Library of Congress teacher development program. The trip took a tragic turn when police say Emerson was walking with another man near the Catholic University of America campus Wednesday. The university reporting the two got into an altercation before the suspect shot Emerson and then ran off. But back in Kentucky, Emerson's sister telling me off camera she believes this was a random act of violence. In the midst of the investigation,
he was definitely called to teaching.
Oldham County High School teacher Julie Bauscher is remembering a man she saw make a real impact on young students.
They would go to his classroom all the time. All students would just check in. There was a vulnerability that he was willing to give to students and allow them to have with him. So there was a transparency, and you can tell they loved him.
And those students plan to honor him.
Remember everything he's told me and try and push myself as hard as I can. And
by carrying on his legacy. In LaGrange, Isaiah Kim Martinez, WHAS11 on your side.
In a statement to us, Oldham County Schools told us today, quote, the Emerson family has deep roots in our school system. So this tragedy touches many of our students and staff. Max was a young teacher, but he made it his goal to form lasting relationships with his students in order to foster a lifelong love of learning, end quote there. The school district also said grief counselors will be available at the schools for anyone who needs help processing this immense loss.
Right now at 5, new developments in the Serenity McKinney murder case. The man charged with killing the 4-year-old was sentenced to 50 years in prison today. Dakota Hill was dating Serenity's mother, Catherine Abby McKinney, when the 4-year-old disappeared. The child's mother took a plea deal earlier in the year, a 12-year sentence in exchange for testimony against Dakota Hill. However, in May, he pleaded guilty to murder, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. Serenity's body was found in West Point, Kentucky in February of last year. Kentucky State Police say her fractured bones were found in a suitcase filled with sand. Alexis Jones was inside the Bullitt County Courthouse today. She has details from the courtroom and reaction from Serenity's family.
After fighting for justice for more than a year, Serenity McKinney's family finally received some today. Though Hill will now serve 50 years in prison, Serenity's grandmother says no amount of time is enough. Melody Roller emotionally watched as Dakota Hill was sentenced Thursday. With tears rolling down her face, she mustered up the strength to share words from her son David.
You took my 5-year-old baby girl out of this world. You robbed her of her chance to live a bountiful, beautiful life.
Before being sent to prison, Hill apologized to Serenity's family for the pain he's caused.
I think of Serenity every single day and of the time we had together. And I think of how my choices have taken all of that away for everyone and cut her life short.
Hill pleaded guilty in May to murdering the 4-year-old and hiding her body in 2022. Since then, Roller says forgiving him has been an uphill battle.
I'm trying to find forgiveness in him and in Abby. But that takes time. You know, when you break a bone, it takes time for the bone to heal. Even though this pain, I'd much rather have broken bones than deal with this type of heartache.
Though she hoped Hill would receive more years, Commonwealth attorney Bailey Taylor says he's pleased with the outcome. Hill will be eligible for parole after serving 85% of his sentence. But Taylor says he has a slim chance of being released. Now that court proceedings are over, Roller says she wants the world to remember her granddaughter for who she was, not for what she went through. In Bullitt County, Alexis Jones, WHAS11 on your side.
Serenity's grandmother tells us she plans to host a birthday party for the little girl on August 9th. She would have turned 6 this year. She says that party will be open to the public. It'll be held at Clear Creek Park in Shelbyville, Kentucky.
Tonight, family and friends and customers are coming together at a candlelight vigil for Ashley Yates, the young woman who was shot and killed in the parking lot at Westport Village. She worked there at a hair salon. The family says the suspect was her on and off again boyfriend who died by suicide after the shooting, according to LMPD. This vigil tonight is to honor Ashley, and it'll be across from the Wild Eggs restaurant there at Westport Village. People are encouraged to bring a card or a stuffed animal to remember Ashley. It starts at 6 p.m. The WHAS 11 night team is covering the emotional service. A small plane makes an emergency landing in a Jeffersonville cornfield this morning. Fortunately, both people on board the Diamond aircraft escaped any injuries. Indiana State Police say the plane landed right in the cornfield off Port and Middle Road, and it was captured through air traffic control audio.
Owen Tower, 988 Charlie Tango, we're experiencing some engine difficulties.
November 988 Charlie Tango, roger, you can proceed direct to the airport. You are clear to land runway 15. Tango, when you're able, could you describe the engine issue? Is it roughness?
It's going to be intermittent. We're going through a checklist right now. We're going to have to look for a spot to land over here on north side of the river.
We'll go ahead and alert emergency services for you. I'm at 988 Charlie Tango, Bowman, are you still with me?
We're not sure if you can hear the Diamond, but I can hear them on my comms. They said they landed in a cornfield just north of the river.
All right, they're on the ground and talking to you?
Roger that.
We're glad you guys are safe.
Glad you're safe for sure. There you have it from this morning. Indiana State Police say both occupants are from Louisville and had taken off from Bowman Field. The people on board, an adult man and a teenage girl. The girl is a student pilot, according to Indiana State Police.
You know, somebody spotted a small plane going down. Originally they said right next to the river, so it took some time to verify exactly where the plane was.
In an email to WHAS 11 News just before 4:30 this afternoon, Indiana State Police say they believe a mechanical malfunction may be to blame for the emergency landing. Preliminary investigations say the airplane experienced that malfunction, but the FAA will make the final determination.
And it was another sticky day out there. Like Ben Pine always says, air you can wear. You can really feel it with that humidity.
Just look at the clouds. They told the story. It looked very tropical, like we were on a coastal area somewhere there, Alden. You really brought back the humidity again for another day as we head to the weekend.
It is July after all, but thankfully it's going to be feeling much more comfortable tomorrow. And really, we've been fortunate to avoid exceptionally high heat and humidity so far this summer. Here's Max HD radar. Rain off to our east, well off to our east, past I-75, but we are dry here. We did have a couple of downpours early this morning, but otherwise the majority of us avoided the rainfall. That line is actually a little cold front that has pushed through. And although it's not going to result in a big drop in our temperatures, it is going to reduce our humidity. And there's nothing else around us either. This is all continuing to push out of the area, so I expect us to have dry conditions through the rest of tonight. 89 degrees our high temperature today, right where we should be, an average July day for us. But of course, it is feeling fairly humid, and still back in 2012, 103, the record high temperatures. So that year was a sizzler, of course. It feels like 91 here in the metro, feels like 94 degrees in Munfordville. Springfield reporting a heat index of nearly 100 degrees. So it is a tropical-like air that we currently have in place, but it is looking better for tomorrow. But as we head into our weekend, we'll once again be tracking the potential for more scattered rain and thunderstorms. We'll also be taking a look at our drought monitor ahead. There's some very good news on that front. That's coming up.
All right, Alden, thank you. A recent U.S. Supreme Court decision has the Kentucky Attorney General calling on Louisville's mayor to drop a similar case. The Supreme Court just sided with a Colorado wedding web designer who did not want to serve same-sex couples. Back in 2019, a Louisville photographer named Chelsea Nelson sued the city over its fairness ordinance. She says it violated her First Amendment rights, forcing her to photograph weddings for same-sex couples that goes against her religion. Last August, a federal judge ruled in her favor. Former Mayor Greg Fisher appealed the decision, and on Wednesday, Attorney General Daniel Cameron wrote a letter to the current mayor, Craig Greenberg, asking him to drop the case. In the letter, Cameron says the recent Supreme Court ruling nullifies the case. Cameron said Nelson has the right to her conscience and cannot be compelled to speak against it. In an email to WHAS11 News, Mayor Greenberg said they will continue to defend the fairness ordinance. Greenberg also says the ordinance ensures every member of our diverse city is treated with respect and dignity. The arguments in this case are scheduled for July 28th.
There are new details tonight in the discovery at the White House that has drawn huge interest. A second test of the powdery substance discovered at the White House shows it is in fact cocaine. And now President Joe Biden has been briefed on the investigation. Secret Service agents found the powder in the West Wing during a routine White House sweep on Sunday in a small, clear plastic bag in a heavily trafficked area. President Biden was at Camp David with members of his family for the holiday weekend when the powder was found. Yesterday, the White House press secretary said the White House has confidence in the Secret Service and that the president thinks it's incredibly important to get to the bottom of this.
More than 6,000 United Methodist congregations are leaving the denomination because of the split between theology and the role of LGBTQ people. Kentucky is one of the states losing hundreds of congregations. The departures began in 2019 when the church created a 4-year window of opportunity, allowing congregations to depart over LGBTQ-related issues. Some were choosing to leave for more acceptance of homosexuality. Others were choosing to leave because they thought the church was too accepting. Church law forbids the marriage or ordination of self-vowed practicing homosexuals, but many conservatives chose to leave because of numerous churches and conferences now defying those bans. Many departing congregations are now joining the new conservative Global Methodist Church. According to unofficial records, at least 366 churches have left the congregation here in Kentucky, with 268 leaving in the last year alone.